Hello guys, Termex here, and welcome back to another episode of the Borderlands Retrospective series. Now traditionally with these videos, I like to take the approach of telling you guys about an item and how it broke certain things, but today's going to be a little bit different. I want to talk about items that were just very, very popular and why they became so popular and iconic within the series. Now today we are going to be talking about the Norfleet and how exactly it blew up everything. Yes, the infamous Norfleet. This is a rocket launcher manufactured by Maliwan, and it's pretty insane. Now, the red text on the weapon is blows up everything, and blows up everything just basically means it's a horizontal line, and it does increase damage compared to other E-Tech rocket launchers, but it does have the downside of unlisted ammo consumption. Basically, you are going to be consuming 3 ammo per shot, even though the card doesn't say it is. And another cool effect, if you ever notice when you do use the Norfleet, and an enemy has that blue ring of plasma around them, that is also the red text special effect. It doesn't do any more damage, it doesn't boost your projectiles or anything, it's just a cool effect to let you know that, hey, that person got hit by a Norfleet projectile. Now, in order to even obtain the Norfleet, many Borderlands vets know that it is not an easy task. You have to either kill Vermivorous or Hyperius, both being either very bad RNG, or if you're not zero with Bore, a long grind. So you have to remember when you're on OP10 now, not OP8, yes, OP10. OP10 Hyperius is not too fun unless you have a certain setup or you're in single player doing pause crit swapping builds. And that's what really made Vermivorous so popular early on in Borderlands 2, because you had to evolve him, and if you had the excitement of evolving him, now you have the daunting task of actually killing him. So, you know, it was always fun with your friends. Usually you would go to Tundra Express, level up a few Varkage, try to get Vermi, and if Vermi dropped a Norfleet, someone was spamming E, and yeah, that was a whole other skaboodle. Everyone's like, dupe it, dude, dupe the Norfleet, yeah. Oh man. Anyway, but there's more ways than that to obtain the Norfleet. If you are in the Vault Insider program, gone way too soon, hashtag RIP, this program allowed you to basically watch ads, check out the Twitter every other day, earn points, and it gave the players codes, or you could just send a weapon to your character on Borderlands 2, Borderlands 3 when it did come out. This was before Borderlands 3 launched, and I do believe pre-sequel was on there as well. You can get some pre-sequel weapons. Very great program. Don't know why they ended it, but this was another way to obtain it. Another fun fact about the Norfleet you probably don't know. You know the infamous red text weapons within the Borderlands series where, they say random things that apply to what the weapon may or may not do? The Norfleet is the only weapon within Borderlands 2 to have a red-orange tint to the actual red text. I'll show them side by side and how obvious it is. I don't know why this is a thing. I don't know what the reference is entailing, or if it's just a visual bug, but it's the only weapon in the game to have this weird effect on the red text. The only noticeable update to the Norfleet within its entire life cycle would be on November 28th of 2013, just prior to the Borderlands $200,000 loot hunt that I mentioned in a previous video when it came to the Infinity Pistol. This got a buff, increasing the reload speed and elemental effect chance, and this also applied to all traditional Maliwan launchers, because early on Maliwan wasn't really that incentivized to use over something like a Torg or anything similar, because if you're using an elemental weapon that doesn't proc elements, why use it in the first place? But luckily they fixed it about a year after the game released, which is really good. Now the Norfleet may have a bunch of downsides and the accuracy may be abysmal, but the AoE is rather insane. Granted, it is the highest damage rocket launcher in the game, per shot of course. This may be different from OP10 when it comes to the world burn, but based on what you're doing and based on the weapons, usually if all 3 Norfleet projectiles hit from a single shot, it will outperform many rocket launchers in the game. But to counteract this infamous down yourself with the Norfleet, because like the red text stated, it literally does blow up everything, a lot of players use the Sham Shield or even the Transformer with a shock Norfleet to allow a lot better survivability and just in general don't die every 2 seconds. One of the most infamous builds was the Norfleet Anarchy build, where you played Gage, you used a Sham Shield with blood-soaked shields, and you pulled out a Norfleet, and you just nuked everything, and you pulled out a Logan's gun to recharge your Sham Shield, so it would give you more rockets, and it was just a very easy build. You could go through 90% of things sham fleeting, but you have to also remember, this was before OP10, so I don't know how viable OP10 runs with Gage and the Norfleet are. I'm using Axton with the Norfleet because it's just a lot of fun with Axton, considering he is one of the few characters within the game that has direct rocket launcher buff skills, which is very, very good, and it does allow him to utilize it a lot more than many other characters. Not saying other characters cannot utilize it. Maya uses it great with Wreck and her elemental skills, so it depends on what you're doing and what your goals are in order for the Norfleet to perform. But regardless of what character you're using, this is just a great weapon even if you're not spec'd for it, because it's reliable. You don't need a lot of skill to use it. So if you're down and you have a Norfleet, 92% of the time you're going to get a second wind unless you're fighting a very tanky raid boss with no ads present. And the closest cousin to the Norfleet is a E-Tech rocket launcher by the name of the Plasmar cannons, or the Plasma cannons, depending on what prefix you get. They have different goofy names, but these are the cannons where if you shoot a single one, it kind of rains down other E-Tech projectiles. They look cool. They look like they would do a lot of damage, but they just don't because they're manufactured by Bandit. So it's like you put a faulty Norfleet barrel on a random ass rocket launcher and it just became that. Probably what they did, honestly. But while we're on the topic of Norfleets and other launchers that are comparative to it, we have to bring up the Tunguska, because the Tunguska is very, very underrated. You may see it in a lot of playthroughs that many YouTubers do, or just in general people that are playing Borderlands, but the Tunguska is very, very wanted because it is similar to the Norfleet, except it only shoots a single projectile, but it has reduced ammo cost, it has pretty good AoE, and it's very, very overperforming considering it is a E-Tech comparatively to even legendary rocket launchers. It does outperform the Nukem in a lot of different ways if you're on a plain playing field and you're not using other damage benefiting skills, and it just has a lot more usability as it could roll in any elements within the game. And the thing that's so great and so sought after with the Tobnia is traditionally with E-Tech weaponry, they consume more ammo per shot. This is very prevalent on the Plasmacaster SMGs and many other E-Tech Stinger pistols, but when it comes to the Tobnia, since it is Vladov and E-Tech, it's one of the few E-Techs in the entire series that allow the player to shoot less ammo for using a E-Tech weapon, which is also a great upside because rocket launcher ammo within Borderlands 2 is abysmally annoying to maintain unless you're using a Logan's gun and a sham shield like I previously mentioned. But why did the Norfleet take over the meta term? Yes, I explained what the Norfleet does, how to get it, and why it is so good comparatively, but the thing that just made the Norfleet so iconic was early on, especially with level 50 within Borderlands 2, it was just the gun. It was the gun that blew everything up with minimal efforts. You just had to spec into maybe a few damage skills if you really wanted to, and you could blow up 99% of tile sets. This gun was insane, and this was prior to the grog nozzle. Let's get into the grog nozzle a little bit here. If you get drunk with the grog, as I mentioned in my grog nozzle video, you get 5 extra projectiles, but if you stack your drunkenness as shown in my gameplay footage here, you can make the Norfleet an insane AoE monster. Comparatively to any other rocket launcher, maybe the Hive is another exception because that is pretty insane with the grog nozzle. This rocket launcher is broken to an extent where I'm happy they didn't nerf it because I like fun in this game. So it's honestly awesome to see you shoot like 900 Norfleet rounds. That's an exaggeration, but it's a lot of freaking AoE traditionally in something they didn't want you to do. And if you're running Gauge and you have the Sham Fleet set up with the grog nozzle and you get a bunch of projectiles with it, you're gonna kill everything. It doesn't matter, just everything will die. But the Norfleet did face some controversy because early on, a lot of people called the weapon cheap. People wouldn't want to play with other people that were playing sham Norfleet because if you join the lobby spamming everything, you're just shooting the ground and like it's not really fun running around watching you blow everything up. So there was a little bit of controversy with using the Norfleet early on in multiplayer play, and there were some other things you could do. I just want to throw this in there while we talk about multiplayer. The Mongol, if you got drunk with the grog and swapped to a Mongol and shot it up into the air on console, you would crash the hosts 99% of the time. Even on Xbox One, when it got transferred over, you could still crash an Xbox One because Borderlands RAM, or the console's RAM, just couldn't keep up with the amount of projectiles that you shot up into the sky. You guys probably remember that. Pretty fun moments, but yeah, that existed too. But it is weird to see that a lot of people didn't like other players for simply using a weapon, considering, you know, Borderlands, the point is just to have fun, but it was annoying. People kicked people from lobbies just because you were using it. But the AoE early on and the amount of damage it did made a lot of content pretty damn easy, and a lot of players actively avoided using this because it kind of ruined the enjoyments. But for me, especially now with OP10 scaling, the gun doesn't feel broken as much as it used to, especially considering all this hype was before OP8 and before Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, before constant health regen. So there was a different outlook on this launcher, and it kind of stuck with it permanently throughout its life cycle as the broken nuke of the game, and it kind of still is, but it depends what context you want to say broken, because arguably there's other launchers in Borderlands 2 now that just scale better and have a lot more usability on raid bosses that you wouldn't even think of in the first place, like the Tunguska. Yes, the Tunguska can kill kill raid bosses. It is possible. But you guys let me know your stories about the Norfleet. You guys let me know about all your interactions, what you think about the gun in general. If you guys think it's boring or if you guys love the hell out of it, I'm personally one of the people that love using this gun, and it's to this day one of the most satisfying weapons to use in the Borderlands franchise. But it also brings back memories of playing with my friends and farming Vermivorous and trying to get the train to hit him because killing him was very, very hard at the time and we didn't know what the hell we were doing early on. But that's the video, guys. That is the history of the Norfleet and how it rose to the occasion and became one of the most used weapons in Borderlands 2. It just has an iconic look, an iconic feel, and it has some iconic memories attached to it, at least for me personally. But if you did enjoy today's video, it does mean a lot if you guys hit that like button down below, and make sure you guys subscribe so you never miss out on another video from me. Make sure to check out all my other videos in the Borderlands Retrospective series. I don't want to make too many episodes like this where there's not really too much to go over, but I did want to talk about some of my favorite weapons in this series, as well as their history and how they became the most popular weapons in the franchise. I just think it's cool to go back to some of the weapons we look up to and see as iconic from the previous games. So let me know if you like these type of videos, or if you want me to just go back to the history, school stuff. I'll probably still do both, but your guys' feedback means more than anything. But you guys have a terrific day, stay safe, and I'll see you all later.